Hello, everyone. Welcome to our info session on our online programs and financial planning. I am going to be monitoring people in the waiting room and letting them in. So if it looks like I might be a little distracted at times, it's probably because I am. But we have several people here who will be also talking. So we're so glad that you're here. Welcome. Just to talk through a little bit about what we're going to discuss today, we're going to introduce you to our esteemed panelists today, as well as need for financial planners and financial planning programs here, what we offer, including our online master's degree and our online graduate certificate, steps for enrollment, and any questions that you might have as we go through. So if you say those to the end, or you can type them in the chat and we can address those at the end, that would be great. That would be a wonderful way to track those. So our panel, Dr. Chatterjee, unfortunately last minute was not able, or he is not able to be here, but we do have our esteemed Dr. Grable, who leads our online master's program. So he is a wealth of information, not only in financial planning, but in the online program itself. So you will be hearing a lot from him today. My name is Christy Archuleta. I lead the graduate certificate in behavioral financial planning and financial therapy, and I'll discuss some of that. We have two supporting staff. I think Jeannie Taylor is trying to get in, but Paul Middlehammer is here, and we are delighted to have Jeannie is here. Yay, he made it in. We were having little technical difficulties before we got in here. So Ms. Taylor and Mr. Middlehammer are here to help answer any questions and of the how to get enrolled and some of those very specific things that help you get to the application process, then get into the program and those sorts of things. All right, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Grable now, and he can tell us a little bit about the need for financial planning, why UGA, and about the online master's program.
Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Archuleta.
We cannot hear you.
Oh, you cannot hear me? You can't? I can't hear you now. Dr. Archuleta is talking. Oh, well, others can hear me. So Sarah and Nicole, thank you so much. I don't know how she will know to switch the slides, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm guessing most of you are here because you're interested in getting a master's degree online through the University of Georgia in financial planning, but let's assume you know nothing about this. The financial planning profession really is and has enormous opportunities for you once you graduate. Our placements across the curriculum at the undergrad, master's, PhD level is extremely high. There's big demand for financial planners. And as you can see from this slide, the financial planning professionals are paid pretty well. And I think our number here, Dr. Archuleta, may be a little low. That's probably a couple years old. So I think they're actually making more. Maybe we should transition into financial planning. Anyway, and the opportunities, again, for you once you get your master's degree, I believe are really very good. So let's go to the next slide. Maybe. Okay. So why UGA? So if you are looking and comparing programs around the country, you've already noticed there are many very good academic master's degree programs. There's a fewer that are totally online, but even those they're all very good. And it's such a small world that we all kind of know each other as faculty and as colleagues. But why would you come to UGA versus one of those other institutions? And obviously I'm biased here, but I would say the answer to that question is if you look at the faculty across the spectrum in our program, they really are among the best in the country, maybe in the world. So if you're looking at people who are actually doing applied research in the field of financial planning, those who are publishing, those who have published books and continue to publish books in financial planning, those who have practice management experience, all of it adds up to a very robust interactions that you're going to have with very experienced faculty members. The other thing that's here is this experiential learning. So even though you might be venturing into the online world, we want you to know that you always will be a UGA student, and everything that's available on campus, because you're an online student, even if you're in California or Nebraska or Texas, you can get to Athens, you can participate in pretty much all the activities that are occurring on campus. And we're taking steps to ensure that you also have experiential opportunities, even if you're in the online world. So you can get involved with our Student Financial Planning Association, where we will be launching an alumni group for the Masters in Online program. And we have something called 11 Money Center, which Dr. Archuleta will tell you about. Excellent. So another reason to come to UGA is once you graduate, you will be eligible to sit for 3 exams. The first, and this is the big one, is the Certified Financial Planner National Examination. So upon graduation, you are eligible to sit. You've got to do a little bit of work for the CFP board, but this entitles you to sit for that exam. We also are registered with an association. It's called, this is a mouthful, the Association for Financial Counseling and Planning Education. We just call it AFCPE. And if you have more of an interest in financial counseling versus financial planning, this would be an organization you would want to get involved with. And they also have a certification. After graduation, you can take that examination as well. We also partner with the Financial Therapy Association. So it's a little different track, but you can eventually get what's called a Certified Financial Therapist certification if you follow all the pathways. So let me give you my 2-minute spiel on the online program. All of the courses are offered online, so you never have to come to Athens, but if you want to, we would love to see you, but you never have to set foot on campus. What makes this unique and what makes it really effective for individuals who have a job, they're working, they don't live in Athens, whatever it may be, is our unique approach to how the courses are offered. We do 8-week courses. So we take an entire semester and put it down into 8 weeks. So you will be taking 2 courses every semester, but 1 in each 8-week block. And it's just serendipitously happened. We just finished our first 8 weeks, just did the grading, and we're all on our fall break. So all the students are taking a breather, as are the faculty. Next Wednesday, the second session will start. If you follow this pathway, and you will be with a cohort of students, you can finish the degree program in 2 years. If for some reason you were really gung-ho or you had a lot of extra time and you wanted to accelerate, that's an opportunity as well. But I will tell you, most students do not. I mean, this is truly a master's level degree of work, and balancing family, life, work, and school tends to be challenging. It's not undoable, but it is a challenge. But we've really developed the program for working professionals. This last term, asynchronous delivery, that's just a fancy academic word for nothing is live. So everything that if you want to work at 2 in the morning, Monday through Friday, go for it. If you prefer to work at noon on Wednesdays, that's good for us as well. So nothing is actually required for you to be in a classroom situation. Dr. Archuleta, I think, is there more here? And again, I think I've already addressed these, but upon graduation, you are eligible to sit for the AFC and the CFP exams. No campus requirements. And let me just finish with this, Dr. Archuleta. You're coming in with a cohort. And this cohort effect is really very powerful. By the end of the 2 years, you're going to have made some extremely good friends and professional contacts that will help you probably for the rest of your career. So that's my spiel on the online master's degree. I think Dr. Archuleta is going to lead us into the next slide. There we go.
Yes, here we are. Yeah, so I get to talk about our online behavioral financial planning and financial therapy graduate certificate, which I'm super pumped about because this takes something that we're doing on campus as a track in our master's program and packages these courses together in an online graduate certificate for anyone who wants to do this set of coursework. So this is a standalone graduate certificate that really focuses in on the psychological and relational aspects of money. It really helps you be prepared to work with clients at a deeper, meaningful level, really on that interpersonal and interpersonal aspects of working with a client. So it takes into consideration different courses that are related to not only financial planning, but financial therapy, financial counseling, behavioral finance, to really prepare you to work with clients, whether they're individuals or couples. We know from research that it's not just numbers just don't show up. Investments, portfolios just don't happen without people making decisions. And those decisions are really fueled by how people think and feel, which impacts how they do things and the decisions that they make. And then how they get along with others around money, couple conflict, family conflict. Much of the conflict that we see that is a source of intense distress is around money. And so this is really going to help you work with your clients through those sorts of issues. It is a 15 credit hour program. And so it takes 1 year to complete because of how we have the courses designed and offered throughout the year. So you are taking one course at a time with the exception of the last semester in the program. So it starts in January. So right now it's just a really January start with a cohort of students. You take 2 courses in the spring, very similar to how Dr. Grable described the online master's program. They're 2 8-week courses. You'll take a summer course that is actually only 4 weeks, but it's a short summer course. And then you'll take 2 more courses in the fall. And for the first 8 weeks, they overlap because one of those courses is 8 weeks and the other course is a 16-week course. And I'll tell you just a little bit about that in a moment. This program meets the education requirements for that accredited financial counselor examination, as well as the certified financial therapist education requirements. It also meets all of the CFP board psychology of money learning objectives. So if you've not had that and you're thinking, I really would love to learn more, dive deeper into that, this would definitely address all of them. Going back to that 16-week course and something that Dr. Grable mentioned earlier, which is the Love and Money Center. So in that last semester, so it would be the fall semester, you're taking a money and relationships class for the first 8 weeks, but you're also taking what we call practicum in financial planning for the 16 weeks for the full semester for that practicum course. So it's a full 16-week course. And in this particular course is where we work through the Love and Money Center. So students have the opportunity to work with clients through the Love and Money Center. We are doing our very first iteration of this course this fall. And so we have our students who are in that course are really helping us work through some different things that we may or may not have anticipated happening. But we have really exciting, cool opportunities that are occurring at the Love and Money Center. This is actually, we have a new name. So the launch of our Love and Money Center new rebranding is happening this fall. And it used to be called the Aspire Clinic. So that's very exciting, where we're really just refining the focus of what the services that we offer through the Love and Money Center. And so you get that experience working with clients, and you might be like, well, I already work with clients. Why do I need to additional work with clients? Well, this is all on a pro bono basis. You're not getting paid for it, but you're working through the Love and Money Center offering pro bono services. And really, we take a particular focus in on not just like the technical aspects, but more of the behavioral aspects of it. So how do people's emotions play a part in what they're doing? How does their behavior have an impact on the circumstances and how their family dynamics are occurring or their couple dynamics are occurring? How does their thought processes, their mindsets, their biases, how do all those things have an impact on what is going on, and how can they help make changes in order to reach their goals? So it's a very experiential opportunity that is part of this program. So similar to Dr. Grable's description of the online master's program, it is all asynchronous. Through the practicum process, there is some expectations that there are some live sessions that you do attend, but it's not like you're showing up necessarily to an on-campus class or something like that. You might be joined or paired with the on-campus course and invited into those class sessions, because we're all service providers. The practicum in financial planning students and the online behavioral financial planning practicum students are all service providers. And so there's some joint meetings that are offered for both of them. All right, I am going to move into what's next. What if you're interested in one of these programs? What do you do? And I'm going to turn that over to Paul Middlehammer.
Thank you. Do you want to stop in? There are a couple of questions that came up while you were speaking, Dr. Chaletta. Do you want to reply to them in chat, or do you want to cover it in the full presentation here?
Yeah, they're very good questions. So Christy, the first one is if you're already in the online master's degree program, how would you get the certificate? Is that even possible? I think I know what the answer is, but
absolutely. That's an easy one to answer. So the question or the answer is absolutely. It is a matter of working with us to fill out a form through the graduate school to add the graduate certificate to your program of study. And then you would just walk through the graduate certificate courses. So you could take that once you're done with all of your master's degree requirements, and then just step right into the graduate certificate. Or if you're feeling really ambitious, you can try to do both during 1 year. But that would be really ambitious.
there's a second question, and this one is, I'm basically working full-time. Can the certificate courses be taken part-time? And I think we probably just confused Nicole a little bit, but talk about that one.
Sure. Yeah. So this program is really designed for that full-time working person who does not want to be a full-time student. So a course is offered one at a time. So you're going to take 2 courses in the spring, but you're only taking them one at a time. So in the first 8 weeks, for example, you'll take survey of financial therapy. And in the second 8 weeks of the semester, you'll take financial counseling and communication. So it's just one course at a time. They are faster paced because you're taking it in 8 weeks versus 16 weeks, but it seems very doable because you're only doing that one at a time, and you're able to knock out 2 during the semester. So you're exactly right. It can be taken part-time. And because it's on that basis, it's really designed for that full-time working person.
Another question is about how many weeks when they get to the practicum should they schedule for that?
This is really a good question. So besides meeting with communication coaches, which is typically maybe like an hour or two, not for the whole semester, typically in the last half of the semester, because the first half is really spending time getting trained, and we do that pretty much all asynchronously. Then we ask you, this is where it's going to get a little bit complicated, but we ask you to set aside 6 hours of time to have availability to work with clients. You will not use all of those 6 hours to work with clients, but that gives us, as the Love and Money Center, some opportunity to find times that match with clients and your schedule. And so that's primarily how people get assigned, is based on scheduling. And all that work is done virtually. So this is another new thing that's fairly new to the Love and Money Center, is offering virtual services. We have offered it before, but it's definitely been very much a secondary way in which we offer services, with in-person services being the primary. So we're making that shift this fall to offer more virtual services. So hopefully that helps answer the question, where we kind of said, we asked, like, have 6 hours of available time that's consistent so that our staff can pair a client with you, but you'll never be using all 6 of those hours.
Hey, there's some other questions. These are all really good. Hopefully we're not taking too much of Paul's time, but the next one is, I work in financial services and there may be some conflicts with offering pro bono services with my employer. I think we don't know who Hickory USA is, but I love that name. I'm just stepping in here. We're not going to stop you from getting a certificate if your employer will not allow you to participate. We will work with you. So don't allow that to stop you from moving forward if this is of interest. Never allow that kind of thing to stop you from working with us. Would you agree with that? Yeah.
I would agree with that. And there's other ways in which we can work with you if doing pro bono work is not an option. So, it might look like role plays or things like that, that's just done a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But the primary way in which we'll do it, for those that can, is through the pro bono work.
This next question is from Taylor, and it's hard to know which certificate or online program, the master's you're talking about, Taylor, but typically for the online master's degree, we try to keep the cohorts under 25 students. This is for your benefit so that you can get to really know the other students and be active in the cohort. It's quite selfishly to save people like me, because it's much more challenging to work with 50 students than it is with 25 in an online environment, while we're providing what I think is exceptional instruction. In the certificate, at least initially, I think it's going to be a little bit smaller, but probably capped around the same level. There was another question. This one's probably for you, Christy. Can advanced professional qualifications replace, I can't read that, or act instead of a formal degree qualification? I'm assuming, and Paul, this might be a question for you. I'm assuming this means I've had years of experience as a financial advisor, but I don't have an undergrad degree. Can I still get into the certificate program or the online master's? I'm guessing, Duncan, that would be the question. Yes, okay. So no, and Paul, you can jump in if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so you're going to pass me the
Yes, the tough question.
All right, that's great. Thank you, John. So yes, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, in order to apply for admission to either program, to the online Master of Science in Financial Planning or the Graduate Certificate in Behavioral Financial Planning programs, you do have to have an undergraduate degree, and that's part of the admissions process. So students apply for admission through the graduate school. You can apply online graduate application. You will upload unofficial transcripts from your undergraduate, or if you have graduate coursework, you'd upload that as well. If you are accepted to either program, you will have to submit official transcript before registering for the courses. We do also ask that all students submit what we would call a statement of purpose. And then we also are looking for at least 2 letters of recommendation. Now, the most common question I receive from prospective students across all of our online programs is that it's been a few years since I completed my degree, and I don't know where my professors are, or I don't know how to find them from my undergraduate program. So don't worry about that. Replace those professors with people that know of you from your work setting, managers, supervisors, directors. It's what I would call a self-contained process. In the application for admission, you are asked to provide the email and the first and last name of the recommender. The graduate school will contact them, and then they will complete the recommendation process on your behalf. The other thing is that we are getting close to the deadline for a spring semester start. So if you're wanting to start the online Master of Science in Financial Planning or begin the graduate certificate in behavioral financial planning, November 15th is the deadline to submit the application and have all of your materials available in the graduate application system. If you have additional questions about any of those steps or processes, you can always contact me directly. You'll see my information at the end of the session and kind of go answer those questions, or if you have things, put them in the chat and we'll answer them as we go forward. Kind of an outline of the steps in the flow. In the application, you submit to the graduate school, and then the department will review your application and materials, and then they will notify the graduate school. Now, the graduate school communicates to you the admissions decision, and that comes to you via email. And once you receive that offer of admissions, within that offer, you would have the opportunity to accept that offer. Once you've done that, that's an indication to the departments that you plan to enroll with the program, and then they will work with you on beginning the process of setting up your information, how to go about registering for classes. You'll receive some information from the online office about an online orientation. The graduate school also has an online, an orientation program as well. And then once you've registered for classes, then you'll receive your billing statement from the bursar's office. Everybody's got to get their money along the way some way. As John said earlier, as an online student, you also have access to all UGA services for students. You may be connecting via phone or email. A lot of our services are also communicating and providing some of their sessions online. So any of that information will be sent out to you as a graduate student. You'll learn about the information that's available to you. And we also have resources in the library. There is a library dedicated to assisting online students. And so if you have any questions or needing assistance with research, you have access to staff that are available to help you as an online student. And we also have other services that I always just encourage students to look at all the services that are out there and go from there. Oh, I see a question about a student ID. Yes, you as an online student can secure a UGA online ID. We cover that information in the online learning orientation video. You would, in essence, fill out the forms for the UGA ID office, upload your picture, and they will produce a student ID and send to you.
Hey, Christy, there were a couple of questions. Okay, so the first one, well, maybe it's just one. Somebody asked, are there any prerequisites? And the answer is no to that question. Although I will say this, we look at every application in the context of the individual as well as how they would fit into the cohort. So let's say somebody has a history degree and they've been working outside of financial services, totally isolated. it's going to be really important for that person in the application materials to make an extremely strong case why they are transitioning or wanting to transition into financial planning, and how this degree would accelerate maybe their career change or something that they're looking to do in their life. But other than that, we're not looking to see, oh, you needed to have an Econ 101 course to get into the program. So no prerequisites. And Christy, I would think the answer is the same on the certificate side, although it probably would be helpful to have some practice experience, but I'm not sure.
So there actually is one prerequisite to the graduate certificate, and it's a prerequisite because we know that some people will have this and some people will not have this. But it's imperative to have some fundamentals in personal finance. So it's not necessarily part of the requirements of the program, but it is a prerequisite to get in to start the program. Or it can be a co-requisite. So for us, that's called FHCE 8200 Fundamentals in, I always forget the name, the official name of it. We just call it fundamentals around here, but fundamentals in personal finance. And so if you have not taken that course, actually for the graduate certificate, we'll accept the equivalent of an undergraduate version of that or a graduate version of that at another university or our university. So you can utilize that as that equivalency. If you haven't taken that, you can take it as a co-req or co-requisite while you start the program if you want to. You can try to take it maybe during a fall semester before you might start, although they just wrapped that course up for this fall. But if you wanted to start in January, you could essentially take fundamentals 8200, that course, in the first 8 weeks of the spring while you're taking survey of financial therapy during that first 8 weeks. So you could do that if you really wanted to take 2 courses at a time. Which there was another question that I think it was Nicole said, I heard 2 and I panicked. So let's just assume you've already taken the equivalent of that 8200 course. You get to that final semester. I recognize that you are all working professionals. So we recognize that, and that there's that 8-week overlap where there's 2 courses at one time. So that's where some of the training is happening in the practicum side, where you're really doing the content of the money and relationships course. And so there's some overlap there, but at the same time, there's some balance given knowing that you're doing 2 courses at one time for that short period of time. Hopefully that helps. Good question. Yes. Yeah. Let's have a sidebar conversation about that. There definitely could be several different options. Are there other questions? These have been really great questions.
Questions, worries?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the middle of the semester, even for working folks, and we're all just tired.
Yeah, it's
And it's a
October.
Friday.
And Friday.
Oh, Jeannie, is Jeannie on? Did she make it on?
She's here.
Oh,
Yep.
excellent. Since because I thought, well, I'm just throwing her in here, but we have a new representative that would be your primary point of contact in the department, whereas Paul is he has the answers to like 98% of all questions. Internally in our department, we also have Jeannie Taylor, who is new, but I can tell you is already off and running and getting this totally organized and can help you with other kinds of questions or concerns or getting in touch with faculty members or resources. So just know that there are lots of people on campus, and 2 very important, Paul and Jeannie, who can help you as you walk through this process.
Yeah, probably the 2 most important people.
Yes,
Jeannie and Paul.
Christy and I are important, but not that important. I
Not
think.
that important.
So there are some questions coming. Would
Oh, these are
you?
great questions. Okay, you can answer this here in a little bit, Dr. Grable, but just prior, so just so that you're aware that we do have our own template that we want to make sure that you are completing as part of the application, because if you don't fill out that application template, which you can find on the website, and look, it says template, so look for that piece. We'll send it back to you and say, you didn't complete this in its entirety, your application in its entirety. Will you please complete the statement of purpose template? So then I will hand this over to Dr. Grable to talk about statement of purpose.
Well, before we get there, Mark had a question about how soon will somebody hear back once that's been submitted? And since you were the former grad coordinator, you might have some insight on that.
Yes, what a great question. So once your application is submitted, it actually has to go through a review process. So it's not just me or Dr. Grable or Paul or Jeannie making these decisions. There is a committee of people that actually review this. It has to go through the graduate school as well to make sure that everything is in alignment and that you have a degree from a credible institution, or an accredited institution. So there's some things that it has to go through. So it can take sometimes up to 4 to 6 weeks. I don't think it typically takes longer than that, but there definitely could be if there's some sort of backlog happening.
There's another question here. Could you expand on what you're looking for on the statement of purpose? Well, and Christy, I'd be interested in your comment here too. But well, first of all, don't stress about this. There is no secret answer. There's no secret sauce here. Really, the committee that's looking at all of the applications is looking for somebody to join the cohort who has a sincere desire to learn about personal finance, hopefully practice personal finance at some degree. It could be maybe they're going to take what they learn and apply it in a church setting, or maybe they're going to go do pro bono work in Central America. Others are trying to advance their career in financial services. And there is no answer to this other than to be sincere and really look inside yourself and ask, am I going to be really committed for at least 2 years to do the work and to be engaged for that amount of time? Because this is a major undertaking in your life. And so you don't want to just go, well, I'd like a master's degree, and your writing just comes off as sort of like not really focused in on why you want this degree. So Taylor, do not overly think this, just be sincere. Christy, do you have any thoughts on this one?
I would answer it very much the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to Mark's question, and although this isn't what he asked, it reminded me of something that I just learned actually yesterday. So the graduate school, my understanding is that the graduate school is no longer sending out official acceptance letters. So instead, because how you're applying is through the graduate school. So this is important for those of you that apply. So instead of receiving that in your email, you need to check the status of your graduate application on the site. So just keep that in mind. If you're waiting for a decision, make sure that you're checking that portal in which you applied.
Yeah, this one's more of a grad coordinator question. Are there grants or scholarships at this point for the online? Do you
That's
know?
a really great question. So there are very limited grants or scholarships available to online students. Most of the ones that I'm aware of are offered to on-campus students. So Paul, you might actually have more information, or Jeannie, you might have more information on that, but it's very, very limited.
So you are right. For all of our online degree programs, we across the board aren't offering any scholarships or grants or assistantships. So most of the students are paying their own way. If you're applying for the master's program, that program is eligible for the federal financial aid programs. And usually I tell students the form of federal aid at the graduate levels can be in the form of student loans. For the graduate certificate program, you could apply for loans, but it would have to be through what we would call a private or an alternative education loan. Because at the University of Georgia, when you enroll in a graduate certificate program, it is classified as a non-degree seeking program, and non-degree seeking programs are not eligible for federal financial aid. Now, the other program that I explained to a lot of students is that the bursar's office will allow you to utilize a tuition payment plan. And that's where whatever your costs are for this semester, which of course for an online student, it's primarily going to be your online tuition plus the online student fees. And whatever your costs are for the semester, you can break that up into 3 payments. It's not 3 equal payments, but you pay 50% of the amount by the deadline date for that semester. And then you would pay 25% the next month, 25% of the balance of your next month, third month. It's a $75 fee to use the payment plan, but it also gives you an opportunity to, work through that. So those are really the forms and the way that most of the students are doing it. A lot of students also look at or are seeking tuition reimbursement. And so of course, that's going to be based upon your own individual company and what their policies are. So in most cases for tuition reimbursement, you're going to have to pay that first semester, turn in your grades, then you'll receive the reimbursement from your company, and you'll have those resources then to apply to your next term of enrollment and cost.
I mean, if I can put a respin on this a little bit, then the nice thing about the online program is that regardless of where you are in the country or the world, you're paying basically, I would say, equivalent to an in-state tuition. So it's not like UGA is, oh, you're outside of Georgia, so they're going to double your tuition like they would at maybe some other universities. So Paul, this question is, I always struggle with this, but we do have TAP, and we also have, I don't even know what it's called.
So the University System Georgia Board of Regents does publicize that, students who are residents of Georgia and are 60 years of age may be eligible for free tuition. And so I always tell students that there are 2 conditions for that. One, you have to be admitted to the program. And then secondly, the program has to have space to enroll students using that benefit. Unfortunately, with the Master of Science and the Graduate Certificate program, we have not had space in the current enrollments to take students using that benefit. I can't stop you from applying. You can apply, but I would say that if you're looking at the program and hoping that's the only way you could enroll, it's going to be a long, long wait. And we just have not had space to take students using that tuition benefit.
I want to add one thing about just the competitiveness of this program. The competitiveness of this program to get into it has greatly increased in the recent years, and that's much due to Dr. Grable and his team and Paul's leadership. And so one of the things I want to encourage everyone to do is apply early. The earlier you apply to this program, the better. And unfortunately, like Paul said, that the 62 or older program, the same issues apply to that. But for everyone who is applying for regular admission, it's really important to apply early.
Yeah.
Regardless of which cohort you're signing up for.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I would just second that, in that if you're on the fence or you're thinking, oh, I've got until November 15th, yes, technically you have until November 15th, but if you've got your materials ready and you want to be at UGA, put those in now. I mean, we are already accepting and have accepted quite a few to start in January. So that is filling up pretty quickly. So just don't wait. I mean, it breaks my heart, actually. Somebody comes in November 15th and our seats are gone, and they would have just been an ideal person in the program. So get it in early.
Yeah, and just another note, if you don't get into that cohort, you will be given an option if your application needs to go, if you want that application moved to the following semester for consideration. So there is that option. If you are that person who gets it in on November 15th and you were that ideal person who would be awesome for this, but there were no seats available. When Jeannie most likely reaches out to you and says, would you like your application to be deferred for fall start? Instead, say yes.
Yeah.
Because then your application gets moved to the front. There was a question about TAP that Amy asked. Paul, do you want to address that, or Dr. Grable?
I sent Amy a response back.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Yep.
Other questions that we can answer? Well, you have the information to get a hold of Paul Middlehammer. I think he's your first point of contact. And then if you have really kind of specific FHCE internal types of questions, Jeannie is there to help answer some of those questions as well. She's brand new. So she's so new, she doesn't even have a phone number yet. So that's how new she is, but she is a quick learner is all I have to say. Oh, wow. Do you know how many cohorts have finished the online master's program so far? Oh, you answered.
Well, I don't actually, that's a great, this is like a quiz. I don't know. At
It's like a
least,
history test.
and I'm guessing, I really don't know. That's a good question.
Over the course of 10 years, though, and you've been running at
Oh,
least two
yeah. Yeah.
cohorts a
So we have
year,
we do
so
have that. That's true. And
a
I will
lot.
tell you that this is a good sign if you're thinking about this, and that none of us actually are prompting the students to get involved, but I will tell you, the vast majority, there are some who just like the, whoo, I finished that. I'm grateful. I'm never going back to school again. But many of them are just really engaged, and they are trying to form an alumni association. And back to that scholarship and grants, one of the things that that group is trying to do is put together some funding sources for scholarships for the future. So they're very engaged students, and but I'll have to check the actual numbers. How many have we done? It all blends together.
That is a great question. Awesome. Fabulous. So great to meet all of you. I am so happy that you all attended. If you have any questions, Dr. Grable and I are most willing to answer any of your questions that you might have for us. If you have like programmatic questions, I'm probably going to say, hey, you better ask Paul that to make sure, or you better ask Jeannie that to make sure that I'm giving you accurate information. So in terms of the application process and some of those things.
Ditto.
Okay. Any last minute words of wisdom?
Well, let's beat Mississippi State tomorrow. That's a wisdom. They better. So go dogs.
Go dogs. All right. We will hopefully talk to you soon.
Yep.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.